Hello, and welcome to another iNBOX. We're your hosts, Lucas Pinheiro.
And I'm Chani Ratanapitak. Today, we have prepared literally a delicious show. From a cake maker who creates edible art to a coffee shop that is more like a time capsule.
But to kick off the show, we want you to meet some people who found a new and healthier lifestyle that includes eating the freshest food possible. Let's have a taste of the farm-to-table movement.
50 miles north of San Francisco are wide-open spaces, fresh air to breathe, and the only tweeting is made by the birds. Here in Petaluma, California, your neighbors are cows and sheep. Miriam Donaldson and Josh Norwood are a couple living here on their ranch.
We like to farm, we like to raise animals, and we like to cook. You know, you just live your life, and after a while all of your friends raise pigs, and all of your friends raise cows, and a lot of your friends make cheese, and your friend over here like raises amazing herbs, and then you're just sourcing from your community. It makes it really nice and easy.
Miriam and Josh have been cooking professionally for 7 years. They own the Wishbone restaurant here, combining farming and cuisine.
Josh and I started our first restaurant like right before farm to table was a really big thing.
I think really honestly it started because we were really tired of working for other people.
Oh, we have a farm. All we know how to do is cook and be a restaurant and work in a restaurant.
You know, it helped make farms and we helped make restaurants and we're all doing it kind of together.
And the best way to keep the ranch together, as you see, like our entire family lives here.
One of the fastest growing trends today is farm to table. That means producing food locally and delivering that food to local customers.
Farm to table, and I think that a lot of chefs and restaurants and ranchers are trying to do what they think is the right thing. And the right thing is what makes you feel good at the end of the day.
And these are really good. Put those in salads. They taste so tasty.
I'm new to the ranching thing, so I constantly feel like I have no idea what I'm doing at all. But at the same time, you know, we learn as fast as we can, and we work as hard as we can and as smart as we can, and I think that we create something that is really unique.
The farm-to-table movement began in the 1960s and 70s when Alice Waters opened up Chez Panisse in Berkeley, California.
It all started here at Alice's temple, Chez Panisse, in Berkeley, California.
We're going to be spit roasting tonight this pork, and so that's getting ready.
She's pretty awesome. She's super inspiring. When I first started really getting into food, I worked at a bookstore in Cotati, and one of the owners there, Barbara, gave me Alice Waters' autobiography. And she's like, you should read this. Like, you should definitely read this.
10 years ago, the movement began to really take off.
Wishbone is actually our third restaurant. We decided that we wanted to kind of pay an homage to our old restaurant, so we used the old logo, which was a wishbone. And then at the end, we decided that was perfect because wishbone, it's symbolic for food.
Going back to its cultural and culinary roots, we find that until the 20th century, most American food come from within 50 miles away. In the 1920s, with the arrival of refrigeration, food could come from further away. And what that created was the dependence on processed food.
I grew up eating horrible, like awful frozen food all the time. But at the same time, I think that's very generational, you know. I think American eating habits are generally pretty bad.
Julia Child's food programs showed Americans how home cooking could be an art.
And you need a bowl, and you need some butter, some salt and pepper, and some eggs.
Today, this healthier lifestyle trend is going in popularity.
I will spend most of my day running around and like gathering ingredients and stuff. Because we're open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, Josh does most of the breakfast and I do most of the dinner.
You don't want people to come in and be like, oh, we're doing a beef hash and a beef this and a beef that.
Our menu changes really frequently. Part of that is so that we stay entertained, and also because we're gathering things from all over the county, like what's good today might not be good tomorrow.
They go from really good to no good in like an hour.
The morels, and they're like this big to like that big, and they have like a big black top, looks like a funny knit hat.
Everything they cook is seasonal.
They have a really, really short life. They're only here for a little bit, and they're super special.
There you go. Thank you so much. Have a great evening.
First thing I feel is that I don't want to waste it, that it's precious. We really appreciate our animals. I don't have like a very close relationship with some of them. You know, we were up there, I was like, oh, this is Flower, and I loved her. But the ones that you know are going to slaughter, you're like, okay, like this is the deal.
To the garden.
When we get things out of the garden, I feel the same way. When I get something, I'm like, this has to work, it has to be good, and it has to be precious.
And they'll be fine till later.
I love where we are, and we're definitely going to keep doing what we are doing where we are now.
For Miriam and Josh, bringing the farm to your table is not a job, but their passion.
It's really nice that in a world of fast food chains, people like Miriam and Josh take the time to understand what they eat and serve.
I agree. It's always good to know that the food you are eating is good for your health. And even better, knowing where it came from.
That's right.
And next, a man with a sweet touch for bringing dreams to real life. It's after the break. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back to iNBOX. Danny, when you think about your wedding, what are your top requests?
Well, to be honest, I would say my wedding gown, an amazing location, and a delicious cake. And I want it to be perfect.
Yeah, we all want that as well. And the cake is always a priority. In this next story, we'll meet a man who has the difficult job of pleasing demanding brides with delicious cakes.
And grooms as well.
That's right.
Let's watch.
It is their wedding day. Everything has to be perfect, especially their wedding cake, the symbol of good fortune and their commitment to one another. The bride and groom have been planning their wedding to the last detail, from the decoration to the wedding cake. And this last one is crucial. Some people dream about their wedding cakes their whole lives. So we came to the Hayes Valley in San Francisco to meet the men who bring these dreams to reality in the most delicious way possible. Welcome to the home of the cake maker.
I liked making wedding cakes, and it was creative, it was not boring, it's different every time. Every event is a different event, it's a different experience.
Chef Bala Subramanian has been in the business of creating extravagant wedding cakes for 14 years.
I wanted to focus on making wedding cakes and spend more time and being more creative and coming up with better designs, and also at the same time improve the product and give better service to the customer.
Bala is in the business of creating edible art for very demanding customers.
I think wedding cake is one of the important parts of my wedding. Pictures of perfect cake. So I guess when I get that cake, it would be the perfect cake.
The perfect cake will be the cake on our wedding.
Wedding cakes date back all the way to the Roman Empire. It started with the color white because white was a symbol of purity and innocence in connection with the bride. These days, cakes have become almost like status symbols. For royalty, some cakes are built larger than life and can take months to be created. Some folks say that the bigger the piece of the cake the couples feed to each other, the luckier their marriage will be.
It will take about 4 days to make a wedding cake. We bake it one day, we fill it one day, we finish it and decorate it, and then the last day is delivery.
Of 18 minutes before it comes out.
It is up now. Once it cools off, it'll go down a little bit. Non-coat it. And we let the cakes.
Oh, it smells so good.
Yeah.
When you make a cake, first of all, when you design it, definitely there has to be something the client wants. And sometimes they have ideas, so you have to work with them on creating the style that they're looking for. And then as far as like engineering is concerned, it all depends on where the cake is going to be. I mean, it could be outdoors, indoors, it could be in the wine country. So if the weather is going to be hot, then we have to figure out how we are going to put this cake together and make it stay for 8 hours outside and withstand the weather condition or the room temperature and the length of the event. So all those things have to be considered in actually making the cake from beginning to the end.
Not too keen about like very bright colors and gaudy colors. I like to be very subtle and classy and elegant and pure. I just don't want so much color and gaudy looking cakes.
The flowers are my signature because those flowers are handmade by me freehand, and they look very real, like real roses. And then right hand shake. And I use 2 hands and I shake it.
You just did like 10 while I just did 1.
Yes.
And mine look horrible.
And I'm going to cut it. And I'll put it, that's made by Locers, right there. Not bad. It's a flower. From the wild. And everything, every step of it, like baking, filling, finishing, everything has to be perfect. And the end product is going to be really pretty, good looking, and the customer is going to be satisfied. Right there.
And now, with all the finishing touches in place for showtime, Bala's latest work of art is ready for its big day.
The cake is all set up on the cake table and it's all beautiful, it's all matching the flowers, it's all perfect, and it's ready to go. Have a nice wedding.
Thanks to Bala.
Yeah, Bala at the cake maker, they did a really great job. Couldn't have asked for a better cake. I definitely want seconds.
Lucas, after watching this, you have to get me in contact with Bala the baker.
Yeah, no problem. I have to admit that I can still smell those cakes. It was such a fun story to shoot.
I bet. Well, after cake, there's coffee. We will continue our food special when I take you on a little journey back in time to a cafe celebrating a milestone anniversary.
Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. San Francisco's urban landscape is constantly becoming more modern.
That is very true. But there is a place in the city, in the heart of North Beach, that has managed to stay the same for almost 60 years. And the best part about it? The scent of freshly brewed coffee.
Danny here will be our guide to this historic San Francisco cafe.
Have you ever wished that you could have a window seat into a different time? To find a place where history is alive and brewing. It may sound like a fantasy, but here it is, reality.
I'm at a cafe steeped in history.
Before you know it, California went from
Robust in its story, and where the coffee is rich. This is San Francisco's Cafe Trieste.
Trieste is the first espresso house on the West Coast, founded in 1956. People who first came here in their 20s might now be in their 80s.
So basically this is like a 3-generation coffee shop. Everybody know everybody.
Today, Cafe Trieste is part of the heritage of North Beach, and where tourists and locals mix.
Yeah, it's like a crossroad, you know.
It isn't fancy. In fact, this is what makes Trieste so real and so appreciated.
It's not the outside. I mean, red and green and white. I mean, it needs a paint job. But, you know, it doesn't look like much. And you walk inside, and it's a whole world. And that's the way I felt the first time I walked in, and that's the way I feel every time I walk in.
In 1956, Elvis Presley was king of the jukebox. Audrey Hepburn announced Marty won the Oscar for Best Picture. America was fighting its Cold War against communism in Eastern Europe and Asia. And San Francisco was a small city with large Irish and Italian immigrant populations. And also in 1956, Giovanni Giotta, Papa Johnny, left Trieste, Italy for San Francisco and opened a cafe in Little Italy. Then, just a tiny Italian immigrant neighborhood in North Beach. Let me paint you a picture. During the 1950s, Cafe Trieste's seats were filled with Beat Generation poets, artists, and writers, including Allen Ginsberg, author of Howl.
America, when'll we end the human wars? Go fuck yourself with your atom bomb. I don't feel good. Don't bother me. I won't write my poem.
Many others contributed to the cool historical artist vibe too, like poet laureate Jack Hirschman, Jack Kerouac, and Lawrence Ferlinghetti, founder of City Lights Books down the street.
Back then, I think it was a place where people just can come and be themselves and not worry about being famous or whatever, because nobody really cared anyway, you know? So.
It became the center of a universe, a microcosm of 20th century San Francisco lifestyles, and a home both for Italian-American history and eccentric types. They all mingle here, and it's hard to tell who is who. Even with all these famous and crazy regulars, Trieste remains a warm and inviting place for old-timers and tourists alike. Little has changed here, except for the prices. James Shaw first came here in 1969, and the price was...
Well, it was so cheap that I don't remember.
And Paul Aegis has been working here since 1991.
It was like $1.10. Now is $3. And a latte was like $1.50. Now is like $4.30.
The Italian music drifting into the streets beckons passers-by inside. Ned Boynton has been playing music at Cafe Trieste for many years, several times a week.
I was attracted by the atmosphere, the music, and especially the coffee.
But what really makes this place special is
the connection to Italy. It's a real connection. There's an old world San Francisco. There's an old world music connection, and it's a place that I think is really
grounded in reality. Whatever brings you through Cafe Triaste's door, the aroma of coffee, or the tunes of yesteryear, is character, and the characters here are the things that really separate this living time capsule from all the rest. Here at Cafe Triaste, people come and stay. Poet Joseph Brodsky says it best. At Triaste, nothing has changed here, neither the furniture nor the weather. Not for almost 60 years.
To me, it's always surprising how many artists have been walking through the streets, and those images of San Francisco in the 50s, amazing.
I know. Producing these stories, we watched so many old films and saw that this city always had its own personality.
We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
This has been a fun show. Thank you all for joining us.
We showed you a delicious collection of stories that, in a way, try to capture some of the tastes and aromas of San Francisco.
And if you liked our culinary adventure, we suggest you to check out these places and their delicious creations.
A special thank you to our friends at Petaluma's Wishbone Restaurant, Chef Bala, the cake maker of Hayes Valley, and Café Trieste.
We hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll see you next time. Until then, I'm Tani Ratanapitak.
And I'm Lucas Pinheiro, and this has been iNBOX. Bye-bye.